for a company called Algorand, and I am here to introduce you to Algorand. So the way I've structured this talk, it's short, it's 10 minutes. I'm going to keep it snappy. I'm going to introduce you to Algorand, just a little bit about the team, the tech, our technical approach as well. And then I'm going to move on to talk a little bit about ecosystem and use cases. So I don't know if there are any people here who still think that blockchain might be a quote-unquote solution looking for a problem. I have news for you. It is not. There are some tangible use cases, some actual concrete examples of value being driven by the blockchain. I'm going to give you a glimpse of that. And then last but not least, some opportunities. So my hope is that over the next few minutes, every single one of you gets something out of this talk, something of interest, whether it's just for educational purposes to know who Algorand is the next time you hear about Algorand, or more tangibly, if you're a builder and you're looking for a next-gen protocol to build on with plenty of opportunities, if you're an investor, if you're an implementation partner, there's a lot going on, and that is the purpose of my talk. So I'm going to start with, again, just the tip of the iceberg about Algorand. It all started with this guy up at the top, Professor Silvio Micali. He is a Turing Award-winning, Gödel Prize-winning MIT professor who back in 2015-16 identified some weaknesses and some issues with proof-of-work protocols and the various proof-of-stake protocols that were around at that time. So he put his head together with some very smart people, and the result was a Turing-complete, pure proof-of-stake, layer 1 protocol that is a technology that can scale to billions of users. So Algorand right now has been up for 2.5 years, zero downtime, one of the few layer 1 protocols, as far as I know, that can claim that. The Algorand network can run 1,000 transactions per second at under 5 seconds per block. Blocks are final, and get this, transaction fees are less than 1 agora. All right, if you use MetaMask, you understand the friction. We are a carbon negative protocol, so the Algorand network consumes what about 10 households consume over the course of a year, and we work with various organizations, including one called Climate Trade, to become carbon negative and make ourselves as environmentally friendly and sustainable as possible. Some of the core primitives in Algorand will probably look familiar, whether it's smart contracts that we have, assets that people can issue, atomic transfers, and rekeying. Rekeying is the ability to basically change your private key for a public wallet. So you don't have to move your funds, you can actually change the actual key. And what that gives us, these are all baked into layer 1 directly, which is also very significant. These aren't like layer 2 add-ons to the protocol. They all are upgraded when the protocol is upgraded, allowing, again, for speed, reliability, and usability to solve some real-world problems, which, again, I'm going to show you in a moment. There's a QR code here if you're interested in some of the metrics. I'm not going to go over everything here, but just to give you an idea of the scope and the scale and the size of Algorand, there are about almost 17 million addresses. That's 2 million monthly active addresses, and 10,000 developers currently building on Algorand. That number is growing very, very quickly. We believe in the convergence of traditional finance and decentralized finance. You heard that here in the panel, right? These things are all coming together and making some new interesting financial models. Smart contracts are obviously a big piece of that. So we believe that smart contracts are opening new opportunities to the more traditional financial industry and governments, whereas obviously with DeFi there's a lot of momentum going on, whether it's payments, credit lending, stable coins, etc. Our technical approach, and I'm going to get into the use cases in a moment, but I just do want to share that when it comes to our product team, they really focus on these 3 pillars. First of all, the core protocol, so creating a fundamentally sound technology that can scale to billions of users. Programmability, we realize the importance of being able to onboard developers and help them hit the ground running when they do. And making it as easy as possible for them to join the ecosystem and build useful applications. And then interoperability. We do not believe in a one-chain-takes-all world. The future, I think it's pretty clear at this point, is a multi-chain world. And for the real value to be provided in the protocol, Algorand needs to be able to connect to different economic systems. And a lot of bridges are being built right now. And again, if you're interested in more information about that, I'm happy to discuss. This just really quickly, you can really easily, if you're a developer, it's very easy to get started with Algorand. You can use JavaScript or Go or Python. We have an award-winning developer portal. Okay, so let's talk about use cases. So there's this protocol, right? Shamir pitched you this protocol, but what's actually going on in this protocol? Well, first of all, we have over 1,000 companies building on Algorand at the moment. Over $17 billion value represented on chain, funding coming in, I'm gonna talk about that, but there's definitely a lot going on. When it comes to national initiatives, so a lot of you I'm sure know that El Salvador is kind of spearheading the way when it comes to Bitcoin adoption, but not a lot of people know that El Salvador chose Algorand as the government blockchain infrastructure, their government blockchain infrastructure. VitalPass is using Algorand as infrastructure for Colombia and Peru, for COVID vaccine passports. And MAPay is moving $800 million in healthcare payments across government entities, health providers, and banks in Bermuda. So these are just some examples of national initiatives. And again, this is just the tip, all right? We don't have a lot of time, so I'm just giving you a little taste. Large-scale payments, BNext and Six Clovers are disrupting a multi-billion-dollar remittance industry and doing it very, very efficiently. And Points Cash is a rewards aggregator that is using Algorand for rewards points. And we're missing a slide. Oh, there we go. Digital securities, Bridge Tower, Republic, Exodus, cumulatively are issuing about $1 billion worth of security on Algorand. These are things that are happening, all right? They've already happened. And let's not forget our friends here at Symmetria, who are launching the first digital securities exchange in Israel using, again, Algorand as its infrastructure. Xberry is a recent grants recipient that is building a secondary trading platform on Algorand. And then DeFi's all the rage, right? And the Algorand DeFi ecosystem is budding as well. Companies like Yieldly offer prize pools and staking different Algorand-based assets. They even have a bridge that bridges between Ethereum to Algo, so you can turn your ERC20 into what we call an ASA, the Algorand equivalent. TinyMan is the Uniswap of Algorand, so a decentralized exchange. You can find all of these tokens and trade them. And AlgoFi is a decentralized market and stablecoin that allows borrowing and lending on the Algorand network. And then the creator economy. This is probably the one that gets me the most excited. Artists are using Algorand for a multitude of different use cases. CI is Italy's largest copyright organization. They basically minted 4 million NFTs in one afternoon for just a few $1,000s. Not exactly something you can necessarily do on some of the other chains. Opulus are empowering the creator economy through lending of music copyright services, and Dequency as well. Dequency is this idea where, imagine a DJ plays a song. Well, not only do the royalties go back to the original artist, but they could do that in real time, which is quite exciting. So the last section, opportunities, we're here because we want to talk to you, and we want to kind of showcase some of the things that are going on. So the Algorand Foundation, I work for Algorand Inc., based out of Boston, but the Algorand Foundation handles some of these components within the Algorand ecosystem. The Algorand Foundation, whether it's hacks or bounties, grants, accelerators, VCs. Again, if any of these interest you, please check it out. Go to the Algorand Foundation website, talk to me. I'm happy to give you some additional information. And yes, there's money, real money that's going into this ecosystem. So the Algorand Foundation has a $500 million USD fund dedicated towards use cases, research, education, and social goods, and they recently announced $150 million Algo DeFi fund that over the next year is going to be focused primarily on bridges and oracles. So again, if you build bridges, you build oracles, talk to us. This is some of the VCs that are entering. So recently, Borderless Capital announced a $500 million fund that is dedicated to the Algorand ecosystem. Anthony Scaramucci, who runs Skybridge, Michael Arrington, runs Arrington Capital. They've each individually invested $100 million into Algorand. And recently, after 15 years in Citi, Matt Zhang decided to leave and create his own crypto fund. It's a $1.5 billion fund. Algorand is going to be their first strategic partner. I'm happy to announce that we're actually participating in a hackathon in about 2 or 3 weeks. It's here in Israel, and it's put together by the Israeli general accountant. It's limited only to Israeli builders, so we want to see you there. We're the only public, while there are a few different technological providers, Algorand is the only open, permissionless public one. And I'm going to leave you there. For additional resources, I invite you to visit, follow us on Twitter, visit the website, find resources on the developer portal. I put pictures here so it'll be hard to miss us. Where's Nir? Nir is there. He's also going to be on the next panel. There are plenty of opportunities. I know that Algorand hasn't really been very active in the Israeli ecosystem, but all of that is about to change. We're here to stay, and we want to talk to you. Thank you very much. I'll leave it at that.
תודה, שמיר.